The night that could change everything. Something huge is about to happen for Arsenal. In just 2 days, Mikel Arteta's team will walk into a stadium in Germany where the pressure will be enormous, the crowd will be hostile, and the stakes will be higher than almost anything they have faced this season. Wednesday night, Champions League round of 16, Bayer Leverkusen versus Arsenal. And this isn't just another European game. For years, Arsenal fans have been waiting for nights like this. Nights where the club is not just participating in the Champions League, but truly competing to win it. Nights where every decision, every pass and every mistake could shape the future of the season. Because let's be honest, this Arsenal team is not the same Arsenal we saw 5 or 6 years ago. Back then, the club was struggling to even qualify for the Champions League. The team lacked identity. Big European nights felt like distant memories. But now things are different. Right now, Arsenal sit at the top of the Premier League table. They lead the title race by 7 points. They are still alive in the FA Cup after getting the job done against Mansfield, and the Champions League dream is still very much alive. In fact, some fans have started whispering something that used to feel impossible. A quadruple. It sounds crazy. No English club has ever done it. Winning 4 major trophies in one season feels like something out of a football fantasy. But when you look at this Arsenal squad, it's hard not to feel the excitement building. Arteta has spent years carefully building this team. Every transfer window, every tactical decision, every training session has been part of a bigger plan. And now, that plan is about to face one of its toughest tests yet. Because standing in Arsenal's way on Wednesday night is Bayer Leverkusen. Now here's where things get interesting. Just 1 year ago, Leverkusen were one of the most dangerous teams in Europe. Under their former manager, they dominated the Bundesliga and went on an incredible unbeaten run. Their style of football was fast, fearless, and incredibly difficult to stop. But football changes quickly, and the Leverkusen Arsenal will face this week is not the same team that shocked Europe before. Over the past year, that squad has been completely dismantled. Their most creative star, Florian Wirtz, is gone. The German playmaker moved to Liverpool in a record-breaking transfer worth more than £100 million. Losing a player like Wirtz isn't just a small change. He was the brain of the entire team. Everything Leverkusen did going forward flowed through him. And he wasn't the only one who left. Jeremy Frimpong moved on. Granit Xhaka departed. Jonathan Tah left the defence. Lucas Radecki is gone. Even Victor Boniface, their powerful striker, is currently playing somewhere else on loan. And here's a twist that makes this matchup even more fascinating. One of Leverkusen's former defenders will actually be playing against them on Wednesday. Hincapie. Arsenal signed him last summer, and now he could walk back into the Bay Arena wearing red and white instead of Leverkusen's colours. Imagine the emotions of that moment, facing your old teammates in a Champions League knockout match. But the changes at Leverkusen didn't stop with the players. Their coaching situation has been chaotic as well. Xabi Alonso, the manager who built their incredible team, left to join Real Madrid. His departure created a huge gap at the club. Then came Erik ten Hag. But his time in Germany lasted just 2 Bundesliga games. 2, that wasn't a typo. Ten Hag's reign ended almost immediately, making it one of the shortest managerial spells in Bundesliga history. After that shocking decision, Leverkusen turned to Danish coach Kasper Hjulmand to try and stabilise the club. And to be fair, he has been working with a team that is still rebuilding itself. Leverkusen have introduced several young and exciting players. Ibrahim Maza is one of the most promising talents in the squad. At just 20 years old, he already shows flashes of real creativity. Another teenager, Christian Kofane, has also impressed with his speed and attacking energy. They've also added some experience. Jonas Hoffmann brings leadership. Malik Tillman provides versatility in midfield. And Alejandro Grimaldo remains one of the most aggressive attacking wingbacks in European football. But despite all that talent, there is one big problem. Leverkusen's defence has been shaky. In their last Bundesliga match before facing Arsenal, they conceded 3 goals at home against Freiburg. A 3-3 draw might sound exciting, but it exposed serious weaknesses in their backline. And you can be sure that Arteta and his coaching staff noticed that. Because Arsenal's manager is famous for studying opponents in incredible detail. Every mistake, every weakness, every tactical gap. Which brings us to the big question. Can Arsenal take advantage of Leverkusen's transition period? On paper, Arsenal looks stronger, more stable, more confident, but Champions League football is unpredictable. One moment of brilliance or one moment of chaos can change everything. And the story gets even more complicated when we look at Arsenal's own squad situation. Because while the team is strong, they are not arriving in Germany at full strength. In fact, several key players may not even be available, and one of them might be the biggest loss of all. Martin Odegaard, Arsenal's captain, is still recovering from a knee injury and will not travel to Germany for the first leg. His absence leaves a massive gap in the midfield. Odegaard controls tempo, creates chances and often delivers in the biggest moments. Replacing him won't be easy, but Arteta believes his squad is ready for this challenge. Arsenal's injury crisis before the biggest game. As exciting as this Champions League clash sounds, there is one major concern hanging over Arsenal right now: injuries. And not just to squad players, but to some of the most important names in Mikel Arteta's system. When a team prepares for a massive European knockout game, the manager usually wants everything to be perfect. The strongest lineup, the best rhythm, full fitness across the squad. But football rarely works that way. Sometimes the biggest nights arrive at the exact moment when a team is being tested the most. And that's exactly what Arsenal are dealing with right now. The biggest absence is Arsenal captain Martin Odegaard. The Norwegian playmaker is still recovering from a knee injury, and according to updates from Norway's national team staff, his return may not happen until later in March. That means Arsenal must travel to Germany without the player who normally controls their entire attacking rhythm. If you watch Arsenal regularly, you know how important Odegaard is. He finds space between defenders, he dictates the tempo, he creates chances with quick passes that most players wouldn't even attempt. When Arsenal need calm under pressure, Odegaard is usually the one providing it. So losing him before such a huge match is a real challenge. But he's not the only player missing. Right-back Ben White is also unavailable. He has been dealing with an injury for several weeks now, and the club has not given a clear timeline for his return. White's absence affects the balance of Arsenal's defence, especially when facing dangerous wide players. Then there is Mikel Merino. The Spanish midfielder recently suffered a broken foot and had to undergo surgery. Realistically, he won't be returning until very late in the season, if at all. So that's 3 key players already unavailable. But the situation gets even more stressful when we talk about the players who are doubtful for Wednesday. And the most worrying name on that list might be William Saliba. Saliba picked up an ankle injury during Arsenal's win against Chelsea. Since then, he has missed 2 matches, including the FA Cup game against Mansfield. Now, the big question is whether he will be fit in time for the Champions League clash. If Saliba can't play, it would be a huge blow. Many Arsenal fans believe he is the most important defender in the entire squad. His ability to read the game, stay calm under pressure, and stop fast attackers makes him one of the best young centre-backs in Europe. Without him, Arsenal's defence could look very different. Another player whose fitness is uncertain is Riccardo Calafiori. The Italian defender left the Mansfield game early with what looked like a hamstring problem. The club has not confirmed the full severity of the injury, but his availability remains unclear. And then there's Leandro Trossard. Trossard also had to leave that FA Cup match early after feeling discomfort in his hip and calf. Arteta described it as a small issue, but in football, even small problems can become big ones if the timing is bad. So in just one weekend, Arsenal picked up 3 potential injury concerns. That's not ideal when you're preparing for one of the biggest European matches of the season. But here's the interesting part. Despite all these concerns, Arsenal's squad depth might actually be strong enough to handle it. Let's start with the goalkeeping position. There is no debate here. David Raya will start. The Spanish goalkeeper has been excellent this season. His shot stopping has improved, but what really makes him special in Arteta's system is his distribution. Raya doesn't just save shots, he starts attacks. With one quick pass or a long accurate ball, he can turn defence into offence within seconds. That ability is extremely valuable against teams that press high, like Leverkusen often do. If Arsenal manage to keep a clean sheet in Germany, they will place themselves in a very strong position for the second leg at the Emirates. Now let's talk about the right side of the defence. With Ben White unavailable, the likely starter is Jurrien Timber. Timber returned from injury earlier this season and has slowly been regaining rhythm. The Dutch defender is known for his intelligence on the ball and his ability to move forward into attacking areas. And on Wednesday, his partnership with Bukayo Saka could become one of Arsenal's biggest weapons. When Saka cuts inside, Timber often overlaps on the outside, stretching the defence and creating extra space. That kind of movement could be very dangerous against Leverkusen's wing-back system. In the centre of defence, Gabriel Magalhaes is almost certain to start. Arteta actually rested Gabriel during the Mansfield game, and that decision now looks very smart. The Brazilian defender will arrive in Germany fresh and ready for a physical battle. Gabriel brings strength, leadership and aerial dominance. He's also one of Arsenal's biggest threats during set pieces. But if Saliba cannot play, Gabriel will likely be partnered by Christian Mosquera. Mosquera joined Arsenal from Valencia last summer for around £13 million. While he may not be a global superstar yet, he has already shown impressive composure when called upon. He reads the game well, stays calm under pressure, and rarely panics. Still, playing a Champions League knockout match away in Germany would be the biggest challenge of his career so far. But sometimes these moments create new heroes. On the left side of the defence, all eyes will be on Piero Hincapie. As mentioned earlier, he used to play for Leverkusen. Now he returns to the Bay Arena as an Arsenal player. That adds a fascinating emotional layer to the match. Hincapie knows the stadium, he knows the crowd, he knows many of the players he will face. And that knowledge could actually give Arsenal a tactical advantage, because understanding your opponent's habits can be extremely valuable in a high-pressure game. But the most important battle might actually take place in midfield. Because without Odegaard, Arsenal will need someone else to take control of the creative responsibility. And one player is about to step into the spotlight, dot the midfield and attack. That could break Leverkusen. If Arsenal want to leave Germany with a strong result, the midfield battle will decide almost everything. Champions League knockout matches are often won or lost in the centre of the pitch, That's where tempo is controlled, that's where pressure builds, and that's where the smartest players usually shine. For Arsenal, two names will carry huge responsibility on Wednesday night: Martin Zubimendi and Declan Rice. Zubimendi has quietly become one of the most important players in Arteta's system. He may not always grab headlines or score spectacular goals, but his job is something every great team needs: balance. When Arsenal are attacking, Zubimendi stays calm and protects the defence. When Arsenal lose the ball, he is often the first player reading the danger and cutting it out. Think of him as the anchor of the team. Arteta actually rested Zubimendi during the FA Cup game against Mansfield, which shows how important he believes this Champions League match is. The Spanish midfielder will need to stay sharp against Leverkusen's young attackers, especially Ibrahim Maza. Maza may only be 20 years old, but he is fearless. He loves running at defenders and creating chaos in tight spaces. If Arsenal give him time and space, he could cause serious problems. That's why Zubimendi's positioning and awareness will be absolutely crucial. But the player who could dominate the entire midfield battle is Declan Rice. Rice has become one of the most complete midfielders in Europe. His energy is relentless, his tackling is aggressive but controlled, and recently, he has even started scoring important goals. Opposition teams know exactly how dangerous he can be, but stopping him is much harder than simply planning for him. Rice can win the ball in defence and seconds later arrive in the opponent's penalty box. That kind of box-to-box power is extremely difficult to deal with. Leverkusen's midfield will try to slow him down, but if Rice finds his rhythm early in the game, he could completely take control of the match. Now here's where things get really interesting, because with Martin Odegaard missing, Arsenal needs someone to fill the creative role behind the striker, and that responsibility will likely fall on Eberechi Eze. Eze joined Arsenal last summer from Crystal Palace in a deal worth around £60 million. It was a major signing, and it also came with a bit of rivalry drama because Tottenham were also trying to sign him, but Arteta won that transfer battle, and now Eze has the chance to prove exactly why Arsenal fought so hard to bring him in. His playing style is very different from Odegaard's, where Odegaard is all about precision and control. Eze is about flair and unpredictability. He dribbles past defenders with ease, he carries the ball through tight spaces, and he can suddenly produce a moment of magic when the defence least expects it. In the FA Cup match against Mansfield, Eze came off the bench and scored the winning goal. That kind of moment can boost a player's confidence enormously. Now imagine stepping into a Champions League knockout match with that momentum behind you. Wednesday could easily become the biggest night of Eze's Arsenal career so far. But the real danger for Leverkusen may come from the wings. Let's start with the right side, Bukayo Saka. At this point, Saka is not just Arsenal's best winger. He's one of the most dangerous attacking players in Europe, and his matchup on Wednesday could decide the entire game. He will likely face Alejandro Grimaldo. Now, Grimaldo is an excellent player. In fact, he's one of the most attacking wingbacks in European football. He loves pushing forward and joining attacks, but that attacking mindset also creates a problem. When Grimaldo goes forward, space opens behind him, and that is exactly the space Saka loves to attack. If Timber overlaps at the right moment, and Saka cuts inside with speed, Leverkusen's left side could be under constant pressure. Even if Leverkusen prepare carefully for Saka, stopping him is never simple. He has pace, he has intelligence, and he always seems to show up in the biggest games. Now let's move to the centre of Arsenal's attack, Victor Gyokeres. When Arsenal signed the Swedish striker last summer for around £64 million, many fans were excited but also curious. Could he really be the striker Arsenal had been waiting for? So far, the answer looks very promising. Gyokeres has already scored 4 goals in 6 Champions League matches this season, but his value goes far beyond just scoring. He holds up the ball brilliantly, allowing teammates to move forward. He presses defenders aggressively when Arsenal lose possession, and when he gets a clear chance, he finishes with ruthless precision. Many Arsenal supporters believe he is the best striker the club has had since Robin van Persie. That's a big comparison, but performances like the one he could deliver on Wednesday would make that claim even stronger. Leverkusen's defenders, especially Tapsoba and Quansah, will have a very long night if Gyokeres finds his rhythm. Finally, on the left wing, Gabriel Martinelli is expected to start. With Leandro Trossard dealing with fitness issues, Martinelli's energy could become extremely valuable. He plays with intensity that never seems to stop. He presses defenders constantly. He chases every loose ball, and when he cuts inside toward goal, he becomes very dangerous. In high-pressure matches like this, players with relentless energy often make the biggest difference. Martinelli is exactly that type of player. Now picture this entire Arsenal front line together. Saka on the right, Gyokeres in the centre, Martinelli on the left. Eze creating chances behind them. It's fast, it's aggressive, and it's capable of tearing apart almost any defence in Europe. But football isn't just about talent, it's also about tactics. And the tactical battle between Arteta and Leverkusen's coach could decide who takes control of the tie. In the final part, we'll break down the strategies, the psychological pressure, and the bigger picture behind this Champions League showdown. Because this match isn't just about reaching the quarterfinals. It might define Arsenal's entire season.